should all go nice and freshly, easily. Testing at the YouTube. Does it show up here? There it does. All right. Pause and mute. Beauty. What's up, folks? How's everybody doing? Let me know if you can hear us. Drop a one or a palm tree emoji would be great in the chat there. Let me know if we're coming at you live, loud and clear for you guys. We can see you three. Jennifer says, oh, okay, we got ones popping in there. Great. So welcome everybody. If you were in my Inner Circle membership, you would have already met Anna and Chris, or had seen one of the videos we did with them prior. They walked us through AnywherePOD, the ins and outs of it. Today is going to be a live workshop. So the only thing better than learning about what a tool can do for you is actually putting into practice so that it becomes almost like muscle memory, right? So who better to learn from than the two that, make this kind of thing work? So again, welcome Anna and Chris. Thank you so much for doing this. This is going to be such a beneficial thing to our members here. And just for, full disclosure here, I am not taking any kind of payment or anything like that. The affiliate link would be a blessing if you guys do choose to use them. But I specifically requested to not and have that go to, gifts for people and memberships for people inside my Inner Circle. So again, this is all for you guys. Thanks again, Chris and Anna, for doing this. Please give us a brief intro and let us know what's on the agenda for today.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks again for having us back on. Really appreciate it. As Jay said, I'm Chris Meets. I'm the founder of AnywherePOD. Won't go into too much detail on all my backstory. Make sure to check out that video if you haven't yet that we did with Jay. I guess a week or two ago now. We'll kind of get into more detail there. But I've been doing helping merchants with print on demand and personalized products since about 2016. Started AnywherePOD a few years ago as a way to bring together a lot of automation pieces that I kind of saw missing in the marketplace, including personalization, but also a lot of other stuff from mockups to group listings to importing from Canva, just a lot of different functionality that we have that, again, we went over that in a bit more detail last time. Today, we kind of want to dive in and go through a specific example with you guys, kind of to help you get your first listings up and created so that you're able to kind of follow along with us. Ask any questions along the way that you guys might have. We can kind of slow down and go in a little bit more detail for you guys and kind of help walk you through that first listing. I know sometimes when you get introduced to something new, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So kind of having somebody hold your hand through that first one, and then you're like, okay, I got it. And you can kind of get off to the races there. So that's kind of the purpose of today's call. So I'll let Anna introduce herself. Before we do that, if you guys do want to follow along today, there's links in the description below. I think Jay has the coupon code down there, totally risk-free 30-day trial you guys can sign up for, so you can kind of walk through with us today. So while we're kind of getting set up and going here, you can go ahead and get your account created, use that coupon code to get your first 30 days for free. And then there should also be a link in the description to the Canva template that we're going to be using today. So you can actually kind of follow along step by step along the way with us. So if you run into anything, you can ask questions live along the way. And yeah, that's kind of the plan for today. Anna, you want to kind of introduce yourself while everyone's getting set up here?
I'm sorry, I'm just going to interrupt there, but if you have had this description window open, I just added the link to the Canva template. So it says grab the ornament design here. So just refresh that. So you'll see that link populate there right under the personalization toolkit, which is also a free gift from these two. So sorry, Anna, go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, you're fine. Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Beck. I am a multiple six-figure Etsy seller, and I've also done coaching for the last few years as well. So a lot of times people wonder how Chris and I connect or what's going on here. And I was one of his first users of AnywherePOD, and I had a student who had a store just blowing up. she had ultra personalized listings, and she was about to cancel literally hundreds of orders because the deadline was approaching and she couldn't keep up with it. Even though she had 2 VAs, they were all working full time around the clock. So I connected with Chris, and he got her set up with AnywherePOD, and within 24 hours, she had all of her orders caught up, and it literally saved her store overnight. And so since then, I always say Chris is the mastermind behind all of the software. I'm always asking, like, Chris, can you do this? And then he usually is like, yeah, okay, I can do that. And I am the cheerleader of AnywherePOD. I'm the one that I just love this software. I think, print on demand was pretty revolutionary when it came to be. The fact that you could create a store and not have inventory was amazing. I always say AnywherePOD is kind of the next revolution of print on demand, because it is a one-stop shop to allow you to automate so many things, not just personalization, but there are so many tools and so many things that we're actually coming out with too, that it's going to allow you to just speed through this process and automate it. So you can build a store, or you can just have some passive income to, do fun things with your family. So we are really, really excited to do this implementation workshop. So something that's really important to us at AnywherePOD is that you guys get the tools that you need to actually implement this, because I really feel like AnywherePOD is kind of the new way of doing print on demand. In the past, there's a lot of things that, all of us coaches would teach. Jay and I were talking about some of them of like downloading and uploading your design. That was just normal. You had to do that. You had to get your design out of the design tool and up on your listing. Those are things that we don't have to do anymore because of AnywherePOD. So during this workshop, feel free to ask questions, because this is meant to be something that's a little bit slower paced, where we are actually working together as a team to get you through that first steps. And then we're always there and available to help you in the future. If you're like, hey, I just need to get through a few more listings, or I have these bumps, we do have a lot of tools and resources to help you guys be able to do the new way of print on demand and really be efficient with your time and grow your shops faster. So I think actually I'm going to keep going here, if you don't mind. And then Chris is going to take over and get into the software itself. So we decided to do an example of an ornament, and you guys might be thinking this is a little crazy because it's June and Jay is at the beach right now enjoying himself. He's not thinking about Christmas, and probably you aren't either, but I'm going to show you some data that's going to help you change your mind, okay? So I'm going to share my screen here.
Christmas in July is a real thing. So I have been making some, 2 weeks ago, I started making some Christmas stuff.
Okay.
Sales, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then you're gonna relate to the data that I'm showing. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we got it now.
We're good. Okay. So this is an ornament. This is obviously a very broad keyword. We're not going to go into detailed long tail keywords. I just want to show you the data of what's happening with just the category of ornaments. This is from eRank. I just typed in ornament right here in the keyword tool. And you guys can see here. Now, if you can't see anything, stop me, because my screens aren't set up to show the video and this.
No, we're seeing it. We're seeing it. You're good.
You're seeing? Okay. So you guys are going to see here is May. Okay. We had an estimated 3,400 searches on Etsy for just an ornament. Now, when it comes to June, can you guys believe that jump? We've almost doubled the searches for an ornament at 8,000. And it is only climbing. Okay. July, we get another 3,000. We get into August, a big jump to 15,000. Then September and October is around 30,000. And then, of course, we have the big mayhem time, which is 125,000 searches approximately. Okay, so why are we talking about this, and why would this actually be a great time to dive into ornaments? Is because you want to make data-driven decisions when you decide to start listing, especially for a holiday. And the best time to do that is when you're down here, when people are just starting to search for things, because you can test out a lot of ideas and see what works and then build on what is working. When you're trying to do that right here in November or even in October, is going to be a lot more difficult to compete because all the listings that started getting action and sales data and Etsy or whatever algorithm you're using is already ranked products that have been selling for months now. It's very, very difficult to compete way up here. So you guys have a huge advantage right now of not only now having this data and this knowledge behind you, you're going to be able to set up all of this in a very automated way, and you're going to be able to blaze through these listings very, very quickly. So hopefully you can have a very successful Q4 in your shop. So let's turn the time over to Chris, unless Jay, you have something to say. But that's all for
I don't
me.
really have anything to add there. I mean, you're absolutely right. Worst case scenario for monumentous occasions like the Christmases or the Q4s, you want to be at least 90 days out. Like there, some
At
people
least.
say 2 to 3 months, like 8 to 12 weeks. That's
Mhm.
okay if it's not something that is like super huge. But when you're talking Christmas and personalization elements as well, like these are things that people are buying ultimately all year round at the end of the day. So
Yep.
like baby's first Christmas, they're not waiting until Q4 to buy that for somebody. They're probably buying it now. They're looking at things that they can think of, like if your grandma for the first time, right? You're buying those things
Sure.
as that occasion happens. And then those
Yep.
people that they, the giftees, they're for their new grandparent or whatever, their sons and daughters are going to showcase that on their mantle, on their thing until they put that tree up, right? It's going to be like acting as a kind of a bit of an advertisement element too, because they'll now ask, grandma where she got it and if she can get more and other things like that, right? So it's all about planting those seeds and having the stuff available way longer than that 90 days out, especially for Christmas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's never
absolutely.
it's really never too early to start. I mean, a lot of people that every year there's always this group of people that I see that it's like August, September timeframe, and they're kind of just starting to get stuff ready. They're getting in that holiday spirit. They're seeing stuff in the stores and stuff like that. It's like really not that it's ever too late. I mean, I always say the best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time to start is today. Like never too early to start for Christmas. When you think about it, really, this is June. We're already halfway through 2025. We're over halfway to the next Q4 already. So the question is, are you 50% more prepared for this Q4 already? Because your 50% of your time's already gone. So if you're not, now time to jump on it.
Yeah, and to your point about not being too late, all it means is the closer to you can still win, but it's going to cost you a lot more in ad dollars to kind of take over those listings that have reviews and sales velocity, right? You can do it organically or at least run, a little bit cheaper a little tighter wallet on the ad spend if you start now for sure. So
for sure. Yep. All right, let me pull up my screen and let's jump into it here.
Awesome.
All right.
There we go.
All right. Perfect.
And
okay. So
again, folks, feel free to ask questions right as we go. I'll make sure I highlight them when time comes, and we can, I'll interrupt Chris as necessary.
yeah, absolutely. Anna and Jay are here to slow me down because I tend to jump in and just kind of motor through and go a little fast. So I'll try to slow down a little bit. They're going to slow me down and ask some questions, but I expect you guys to ask some questions as well, so I can make sure to slow down. So don't be afraid to ask questions along the way here. So when you first get in and get your account set up, this is what AnywherePOD is going to look like. You can see all of the available platforms and suppliers that we have available here. What we're going to be working with and kind of focusing majority of our time on today is going to be Etsy and Printify. But keep in mind that the process that we show you today works the same for any other suppliers. So if you decide you want to check out Custom Cat or DecoPlate or Shine On, literally the process that we're going through today is going to be the exact same process no matter the supplier or product that you select. It's really kind of the same basic process all the way through. So to get started, what you're going to want to do when you first come in here, you're going to want to connect your Etsy store. Really, these are the two easiest connections to make. So you just need to click on connect here. That's going to direct you to Etsy. Just say, hey, you want to approve this connection to AnywherePOD. You hit yes on that. And then it's really the same thing on Printify. You hit connect. It's going to ask you to approve that connection. Very, very simple setup there to be able to get that going. So once we have both of those connected, let me jump over to my other store here that I already have everything connected with. And as we said, what we're going to be doing today is Ornament from Printify. So that's going to be what we're focusing on. So I'm going to come in here under Printify and just go to View Products. And then I'm going to come over here on the left, and I'm just going to go to my Ornaments category. So I'm just looking at all of Printify's ornaments here. So every product that is available in Printify is also available in AnywherePOD with the same colors, same suppliers, same print positions. All of that is available when you're building products in AnywherePOD. So I should probably take one quick step back. I forgot I wanted to mention sometimes there's a little bit of confusion of, okay, if I'm using AnywherePOD, do I still need to create a product in Printify and then somehow link the two or anything like that? And that's so what you need to do. You don't create anything in Printify. You will just create the product in AnywherePOD, and then we take care of syncing everything as far as orders and personalization and all that sort of stuff goes. So instead of building this product in Printify, I'm going to build it in AnywherePOD, and that's kind of the process we're going through here. So now that I'm in my ornaments category, we're going to be using this ceramic ornament here. So I'm just going to come in here and go to Start Designing. And now here you see we have a few different options. What we're going to be using today is going to be the add from Canva. So if you grab that link down in the description below, you can also go through the same process and import that design directly from your Canva account. You will, on that initial dashboard screen, also want to connect to Canva. Again, that's just a matter of approving that connection. So you'll be able to import those. If you are using a design software other than Canva, maybe you're using Kittl or Photoshop or Photopea or any others, you can still use AnywherePOD. What you're going to do is just download a PNG file from that design software without the personalization elements on it. And then you'll upload that design here in AnywherePOD and then add in any text fields or anything like that you want personalized. So as I said, in this case, we're going to be adding from Canva. So I'm just going to click on Add from Canva here at the top. This is going to give me a list of all of my most recent Canva designs. You can see I have the ornament right here at the top that we're going to be working with. So we can either import this as a PNG, or what's really cool is we can import it with the layers. What that means is it's going to import that entire design with the text layers and everything, just like as though I added it inside in Canva. So we're not going to have to recreate or re-add any personalization or any text layers. It's just going to all be there for us. So when I click on import layers here, it's going to go through and do that import process for me. And we'll see we have that design imported now. You can see our layers over here on the right. We have our image, which is going to kind of be the deer and the trees in the background and that whole sort of thing. And then we've got our name here, which this is going to be the piece that we want personalized. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that as personalized right here. What that's doing is telling the system that, hey, this name, when the customer checks out and they put in their name, this is the text field that we want that name to import onto. So when an order comes in, it is going to swap out that name for us based on the information that the customer entered and be automated for us. So this is our whole kind of design area here. If you are uploading your own PNGs, here under Add Layers is where you'd want to add in your own text fields, or if you want to do image personalization or clip art, any of that type of stuff, you would add that here under the Add Layers section here at the top.
So I just want to point out real quick, this is really cool, guys, because you can add multiple layers of personalization. So you can do something as simple as a name here or a date, or you can do both. You could have, I don't know. I mean, it's limitless what you can do, but I just want to point that out, that there's a lot of flexibility that can happen here. And all it takes is those few clicks to just let AnywherePOD know that those are the things that need to be swapped out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a popular bestseller that people have probably seen is kind of that grandma's garden design where it has a birth flower and a name that you can enter for each one. And so you can do that here with clip art, and we have a few examples of that on our YouTube channel as well. It kind of walks through creating those types of designs.
Chris, did you see that question that Jay popped up on the screen?
I did. I think you're muted there, Jay.
Oh, thanks. I was just going to say, so what are we restricted to in terms of file types, if not a native Canva file?
So like any image file, so generally you're going to want to use like a PNG with a transparent background, or some products you may want to use like a JPEG. Either one of those work as well. I did see a question on SVGs, and most of the time you can use an SVG. There are a few SVG formats. I won't get into the technical details that sometimes do not import the best. So generally PNG and JPEGs are the best option, but SVGs generally work as well. Cool. All right.
Cool.
So once we have this product created here, we've got our image marked as personalized. In this case, we're just going to be doing our circle ornament. That's really all we need to do to create this product. So down here at the bottom, we're going to click on create product.
Chris, I'm going to stop you for a second. We have some questions here that we need to troubleshoot. So Linda asked that her layers aren't showing. And Maribel asked, do I need to create layers on Canva first? Can you help?
Yeah, so if you used that design that we had in that Canva template link that we had in the description down below, you shouldn't need to create any additional layers, but you do want to make sure that you are importing that as layers. So if I come in here and I'm looking at my Canva import, if you click on import PNG, it's just going to import it as kind of one flat image. So you want to make sure you're using the second option here where it says import layers. And that should take care of Linda's question there. And then we'll import those layers exactly how you saw it on my end. And then, yeah, for Maribel as well, you don't need it. So if you're creating a design from scratch in Canva, obviously then you'd want to have, whatever layers or text personalization set up there in Canva. And then those will import. But if you're following along with this example and you use that template, you don't need to go in and add or change any additional layers.
So if they had imported that design the original way that you showed us, it should have shown up with layers?
Yes. Yeah, as long as they're using this kind of second import layers option and not the import PNG.
All right.
Good.
We can move forward and let Linda reply in the comments out there.
Yeah, and we can all circle back if we need to there.
Sure.
Okay, so once we have that initial product created here, it's going to go through and generate the placeholder artwork for us with any text that we added on it. And then it's also going to give us any of the mockups that are available from the print supplier. So any of Printify's mockups are all going to be available here in AnywherePOD. So you're not going to lose access to any mockups or anything like that by using AnywherePOD. You're still going to have access to all of those mockups. While on the topic of mockups, you can add your own custom mockup templates. This is in particularly very, very useful for if you're doing any kind of apparel, because you don't have to create your mockups somewhere else and download and re-upload to AnywherePOD. You can create those templates right inside of here, which we do have a few videos that kind of go over that in more detail as well. So really from here, as far as kind of your first single product goes, you of course would want to change and update your title, your description, and all of this change still on Etsy. So when you publish this over to Etsy, you can make any changes to these settings as well. Put in your tags. We have a nice little Etsy analyzer tool here that helps you find some top performing tags. You can automatically generate a slideshow style video in here. So this is going to let me select from any of my mockups that I previously had in here. And we'll go ahead and generate a slideshow style video for us that'll go through with the listing as well. And then, of course, if we want to change the price, we can do that down here. So once this is, so here you can see the video here that gets generated along with it. So the only other step now that we want to make sure that we do is to, when we publish this over to Etsy, so I'm going to go ahead and click on Create New Etsy Listing here at the top. This is going to publish this product over to Etsy, and it's going to add it to our drafts. So you're not going to get charged that 20-cent listing fee until you're done and you're ready for it to kind of go through and be live. So if we come in here and you can click on this green Etsy button here at the top and click on View in Etsy. And this will open up that listing that you just created inside of your Etsy store so you can make any additional changes here that you want to. One main thing you're going to want to make sure to do right now is under personalization here. So just below the description, you're going to want to turn on that personalization field, and you'll put in here something like enter the name you would like on the ornament. And then I like to always give an example here as well. So we'll say example. And I think on this one, I was using Emily. So I try to match what I have in my design. So it's very clear from my mockups to what I'm asking for here of what's gonna show up. So we have that in place. Customers are gonna be able to come in, put in their personalization, complete their order. That order is first gonna come into AnywherePOD. We're going to swap out the name with what they entered during checkout. You can review and approve the order if you wish to before it goes off to production. And then that order is going to get sent directly to your Printify account. You're going to be invoiced for that order like any other Printify order. And they're going to do the print, pack, and shipment like normal. And then we'll update the Etsy order with tracking information once that order ships as well. So real nice, real seamless process throughout all that. All right. What questions? I do have another example piece that we're going to kind of add on to the top of this, but I want to make sure if there are any other questions before I get into that.
Just to tell Stephanie, I mean, try typing it in case there's a space at the end of the coupon code. It's just Jay's Way 30, so you should have no issues typing that in, I hope, if it's not working for you.
Yeah. So it sounds like she found the discount field is just not working. Is that?
Yeah, from a copy paste. So I would say just
Gotcha.
Type it in there.
Yeah.
This is awesome, and I like the fact that you said the bit about showing an example, because we want to make this as ultimately not only as idiot proof for us to make as many things possible with as fast as possible for us, but for the customer, right? So this is like one question that you'll get if you didn't have an example, and trust me, you'll get the question. So what do I do? Do I just enter my name, do it, whatever? And then they'll put in a bunch of other words that you necessarily don't need in there. So just give them that example. Always kind of lead your customer, leave less up to ambiguity as possible.
Exactly.
And,
yep. And then you have the option here. Go ahead, Anna.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's going to save you a lot of time because, you're not going to have to connect with them and be like, oh, did you really mean this? Or, it just, you want to reduce the back and forth as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Another good question here. If I have an Etsy and Shopify store, can I connect them so I don't have to design twice?
Yes, absolutely. So that's one of the nice things about AnywherePOD, the way we have our kind of multi-stores set up. So if you have Etsy and Shopify, you create this product once. You can see on here, I have Shopify connected to this store. So if I want to offer the same product on Shopify, literally all I have to do is click on this push to Shopify button, and it's going to create a product for me in Shopify. I don't have to copy or duplicate or do any of that type of stuff to be able to get it over to Shopify. It's just I build it once, and then I can select which platform that I want it to go to very easily.
Another quick question here that piggybacks on Eliz Cody's one. How many layers can you have, such as for teacher, can you have name, grade, and year? And the answer, is literally all of them, right? To Anna's point, you can have as many as you want. So on that note, if there are 2 personalizations, Maribel's asking, how do we make sure it goes to the right one?
Right. So let me, let's do that here on this one real quick. So we've got the name personalization that we just added. But say we want them to be able to personalize the year as well. So they can put in not just the name, but the year. So what I'm going to do here is come in under my year layer over here on the right. And I'm going to mark that as personalized. And then the other thing that I want to do is I want to rearrange these so that they're in the same order that they show up in my design. So I want Emily to be on top and then the year to be down below, because when the customer enters in Emily in 2025, it's going to fill it in that same order that you have these layers set up as. So now that I have both of those and hit update, now that's marked as personalized. Now the only other thing that I want to do is back here in my Etsy store. I'm going to say, instead of just enter the name, I'll say enter the name and year you would like on the ornament, example, Emily, and then I would put 2025 down below here as well. And then based on the order that the customer enters those, it's going to import and select those correct fields. Now, remember that order is also going to go on hold. So if they do something different, if they add, other text or other names or anything like that in there, it's a real quick 2-3 second process to be able to change that or make any adjustments there if you need to. But this will catch the majority of orders and will automatically have them in the right order for you, where all you need to do is click on release hold and everything's good to go from there.
Awesome. So now what if you had like three names side by side, for example?
So then your example would be like in one field. So I would, Emily, Jack, Jason, and it'll put that entire line in the first field and then so on from there.
Okay, simple.
Yeah.
All right. And Catherine's saying that for the link, she got the layer. So perfect. So everything's working as it should. It's great.
Perfect. Okay, very cool. And I will say too, let me jump back over here while we're taking questions. So anybody watching this on replay, or even anybody in the chat now that has additional questions later on, please don't hesitate to reach out to our support. We're more than happy to help do what we need to do to make sure that you get set up correctly and everything works. Yeah. So down here in the bottom right, when you first come in here, this is actually going to be a ChatGPT enabled help bot that is trained on all of our past YouTube videos and current support tickets and everything. So you can usually get really good, fast answers in here. But the other thing that we did is whenever you ask any kind of question here in the chat bot, the last thing it's going to give you here is a button to contact our support, and that will get you to an actual human support here as well. So you click contact support here, it'll open up so you can create a support ticket directly to us. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us, ask any questions. We're always more than happy to help, and would rather you guys ask a question and us be able to help you than you sit there banging your head against the wall because you think it's something you should be able to figure out. We actually encourage our customers to reach out to support, because if you're running into an issue and have a question, someone else probably has that question too, but hasn't asked it yet. So it helps us to, be able to make changes that kind of make it easier for everybody. So please never hesitate to reach out to us.
Yeah, and also too, I just want to point out that we really do offer a lot of support because we believe that this ultimately will actually end up saving you time. So I don't want you to get frustrated on something like for an hour or two or a whole evening and you're like, this is too complicated, because really actually doing things the old way, trying to figure out how to do everything manually, is going to be much more complicated and time consuming in the long run. So please, reach out to the support, use the ChatGPT or the GPT help. It's surprisingly good. When Chris first showed it to me, I was like, okay, this is weird. This actually helps you, which we know is like not a thing in this world, right? But it truly does. It's really useful. We do have a Facebook group. You can get support there. I promise that once you've done this like 5 times, you're going to be a pro in personalization and automation. So, stick with it because it really will save you time, because this is your spot where you can do everything in one place.
Absolutely.
A couple of things that, a couple of questions there, but another thing I want to touch on, especially while we have you guys, is one of my favorite parts about this is not only the mockup stuff, well, which actually the mockup thing is a massive time saver, but also the ability to leverage different and unique suppliers and be able to bundle listings in a way that just kind of makes more sense. Like you guys, I'll let you talk about it a bit, but I want to touch on Deco Plate for sure, because super huge, super unique, and there's not a lot of people offering it. But one question here, I've got, some input on this too, but I'm curious how your guys take some personalization font information or tips. So Jennifer, maybe if you could be a little more specific with what you're asking there, but if you guys have any tips or info you want to kind of give on the personalization font.
Yeah, so I mean, really, that's going to come down to your design. So obviously, legible fonts. If you do a little bit of research on Etsy, you'll see a lot of specific trends around when and where to use certain fonts. For example, in this example that I had here, we did something that's a bit more scripty on the name and something that is kind of a bit more blocky, or like closer to like a Times New Roman or a traditional font for the year. So that portion of it is going to come down a little bit to your design. One other thing to note on fonts is we have a huge list of preloaded fonts that are available here in AnywherePOD. These are all the like open source fonts that are available from Google. So if you're using a font in Canva that's not available in AnywherePOD, you can import that font to AnywherePOD. So over here to the left, you can come into My Artwork and go to Fonts, and you can upload any of your own fonts. So if you've purchased fonts or you're downloading fonts from Creative Fabrica or somewhere else, you can actually upload your own fonts right here into the system and be able to use those for personalization. If you're importing a design from Canva that is using a font that we don't have in AnywherePOD, but it's not personalized and you don't want to have to set that font up in AnywherePOD, you can actually import designs from Canva as a mix of PNG and the personalization layers separately. So you can import those pieces that are static as just static PNGs. And we have some videos on our channel to kind of help walk you through that. But that's kind of what that looks like from importing fonts.
So Liz's question here, kind of piggybacking on that. So importing designs from elsewhere, what file sizes should we be considering when making designs for different products? My suggestion to this is always go to the POD provider that you're anticipating using and use their specs, because that is ultimately what the printers are going to go by. But is there a limit to file size or anything like that? Always bigger is better at the end of the day, but
there is not, and we actually have some tools to make that process even easier, so you don't have to go into Printify and figure out what size you need. I can see Anna
hiding behind a smile there.
Yep.
I laugh because earlier there's a question that asked about, how is AnywherePOD different from other tools that you've heard about that have similar features, right? And I'm laughing because we do these implementation workshops, and we can talk about the mockups, we can talk about personalization, we can talk about all these things, but we literally can't talk about, or we don't cover, and it's hard to explain all the little things that happen here that we don't talk about. And so I'm laughing because it's kind of funny because what you say, Jay, is correct. It's 100% correct. But now, like, we're solving these problems, and we do so much of it that we don't even cover it when we're doing these conversations.
Right.
So you've got template sizing built in.
I mean, this is second or fourth time maybe that we've shown this to Jay, and this is the first time this conversation's come up. So it's cool. So right here at the top, when you come into design any product, first of all, you're going to see the dimensions that are required from the print provider. So they're wanting a 954 by 954 image. So that is the size that you would use to design the image. Now, to take that a step further, instead of now having to take that and go actually like type it in somewhere, because that's manual work, right? Like you don't think about it, but like typing in 954 twice, that's manual work that I don't want you to have to do. So all you need to do is click on this button right here that says create new design. And that is going to open up a new blank Canva at that dimension that's required by the print provider. So it'll just automatically open it up at the dimension that's needed. And this works on those large format size stuff too. So anybody that's tried to design, say, blankets in Canva before knows that Canva has a file size limitation. So if we come in here, say to a 60 by 80 blanket, the supplier is requiring 9,450 pixels by 12,450. Canva can't go that large. Canva's not able to go that large. So you have to take that design size and you have to divide it by 2 or 3 or sometimes 4, depending on the size. And then when you export it from Canva, you have to remember if you divide it by 2, 3, or 4 and actually import it at the right dimensions, all this manual stuff, right? So when you click on create new design, it's going to automatically do that math for you. So this design now is 2362 by 3112. So now when I create my design here in this template that was created, when I import that design back into AnywherePOD, it's already going to take care of that multiplication factor for me as well. So I don't have to worry about it or mess with doing that math at all anymore.
That's awesome.
Another one of those, like she said, one of those little time savers that can help pay dividends in the long run. Of every time you don't have to go look it up or have a list somewhere of design sizes and all that sort of thing. Yeah. Or do math.
And then
like do that.
To piggyback kind of what Anna was saying before, how you get asked like when you're comparing to similar tools out there. The difference I think with AnywherePOD is that if you're comparing AnywherePOD, you're comparing it to not like this tool that specializes in personalization, this tool that specializes in mockup uploading, this tool over here that specializes in bulk editing, this tool over here. You know what I mean? Like you guys have the one-stop shop though. So like instead of having multiple or necessitating the use of multiple tools, it seems like you guys have kind of like taken the best parts and baked it all in. You know what I mean? That's just my
exactly. That was kind of one of the frustrations that I always found, since 2016, really, of, someone traditionally, you go to the print supplier's site and you create your product, but you're nowhere close to being done. You do that once and then you've got, all these tools and multiple hours worth of work that you're copy and pasting things back and forth. And you've got to go over here and download your mockups, and you got to go over here and copy and paste your tags. And then if you want to do group listings, if you want to automate anything, you're copying and pasting hundreds or thousands of SKUs back and forth and hoping that you're pasting them all in the correct spot. And there's just a lot of these extra tedious steps that just really get to be a pain.
Right. So, I mean, by having the layout of AnywherePOD, it really streamlines that process. So whatever supplier you're using or whatever strategy you're using, if you're doing group listings, if you're doing personalization, even if you're not doing any of it, right? We talk about those things because a lot of people use them. But if you're brand new and you're like I can barely make a design, let alone get a listing up, like, would I really want to start with something like this? And the answer is still yes, because you're going to streamline a lot of the process that will allow you to get through that painful learning curve a lot faster. So, if you're using different print providers, they all have different ways of connecting to Etsy, of their ordering interface. So you can bring that all in right here and start from the beginning like this. And then you can grow into those different strategies as you have more confidence and you want to test out new things, and you can work faster. And if you can work faster, I mean, honestly, guys, print on demand is a testing game. It's a game of testing what the marketplace wants and building on that. So if you only get one design out, well, most likely that is not a big enough sample size to see if the audience wants that, or what if it's even close to what they want. Now, if you could put out 20 designs in a really hot niche and you can start getting some interest in that, well, that's a good data set. That's a really good data set to now build on. But if it takes you, let's say 10 minutes to do one listing, or you could take 10 minutes and do 20 listings because now you have a tool, well, now you can be so much faster in getting that data and that information back. So when you go to make that next set of designs, you're really like zoning in on what people are coming to your shop for, what their interest is. And, if you haven't gone to sale yet, that's fine. Use that data to see, like, anytime somebody has a like or a favorite or something, that's somebody coming into your shop and being like, ooh, that's interesting, and add to that. And Anywhere POD allows you to do that in a very streamlined process, very quick, so that you don't have to do these soul-sucking tasks. Okay, I call these soul-sucking tasks. You don't want to do them. They're boring. They're the worst part of Anywhere POD. They're miserable, and it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's the important thing. Is it once had to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. So why would we do that to ourselves, guys? We should just enjoy the comforts of good software,
There you go.
I agree.
So-
Soul-sucking tasks are my nemesis, which have been led probably on the list by making mockups. So it's pretty awesome that you guys kind of facilitate that too. But one question, just to kind of backtrack, JQ's asking if it increases the size, right? So now we're talking like maybe a 3x multiplier to bring it in. Does AnywherePOD optimize the print quality?
So we don't optimize beyond what Canva does, right? So that blanket design that I showed, if that needs exported at 3x, that's going to be the same process as going to Canva, downloading, selecting 3x on the PNG, and exporting it from there. So if you're uploading a super small image in Canva and you go to export it, it's going to export it at the right dimensions. But if your image that's embedded inside of Canva is still really small, Canva is not doing any kind of like upscaling on that. So you want to make sure whatever images you're using are high enough quality to be able to support the overall pixel size.
Makes sense. That comes part and parcel with, taking things into account when making good designs too, though, for sure.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, it really doesn't change anything in that process other than make it a lot easier and cut out some manual work. So
Catherine mentioned that should we have seen the 3 that you had or just the 1? And then Linda followed up quickly. Thanks, Linda, with I have 3 in my draft Etsy listing. So I just want to touch on that just make sure that you are changing this design, right? This is for the intents and purposes today of teaching you how to do this. But
sure.
Etsy, to stay on Etsy's creative standards guidelines, and this is not new at all, but you cannot just take a design that is done for you and upload it, especially if you're having it fulfilled by a third party or whatever. Now even they're saying that you have to have had a hand in the design even if you are fulfilling yourself. So just make sure that you're changing the meat and potatoes of the design. In this case, it's looks like a reindeer or a fawn, so maybe make it a different animal at least, something to that effect, right? Just to stay on the right side of Etsy. So that, we don't run into any hot water here, but get used to playing around with it for sure.
Absolutely. And on that mockups question, so if you're coming in here to select mockups, and instead of seeing all of the mockups that Printify has available, you're only seeing one of them. Printify is working on that issue where it'll automatically give all of them. Sometimes it doesn't initially. There is an easy workaround for that. If you come over here to your dashboard and click on this little gear icon here next to Printify, kind of lists out the instructions down here. But essentially what this is showing what actual store is in Printify is connected to your AnywherePOD store. And since the only thing that we create products for in Printify is to get the mockups, you can actually have the store that creates your AnywherePOD products in Printify be different from your Etsy store. So it kind of keeps your AnywherePOD products separate from your other Etsy products that might be in Printify as well. The other benefit to that is that when you set it up this way and it's marked as using a custom integration, then you will always get the kind of full set of mockups that are available. So there's information on that there. if you need help on that, reach out to support. We have a video that walks through that too that we can send you. But it's pretty easy to do. It sounds daunting, but it's really just setting up a couple things in Printify and changing a few settings. So
you made this super simple. Go ahead, Anna.
Oh, sorry. No, you can go if you have something.
Nope. I was just going to say how simple it was.
Oh, it is. It is really simple. Chris, did we mention that when you do your own mockup, that in the future it will automatically connect? Is my brain remembering if we said that or not?
What do you mean automatically connect?
Like in the future, if you use that product, it will use that same mockup in the future.
So I mean, it'll give you the full list of mockups here. Is that what you mean?
Like if you use your own mockup, though.
Oh, yes. So if you're using your own mockup template, is what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think we didn't get into too much detail on that yet. But essentially, what you can do is create a mockup template. So say you're doing t-shirts, right? You've got your own mockups you're used to creating in Canva or Photoshop or somewhere else. You can upload those and all those colors here in AnywherePOD and set that up as a mockup template so that in the future, anytime you create that color, it's going to automatically select the correct mockup with the correct color and have that already automatically generated for you. So you don't have to go outside of the system and manually create any mockups. It's just going to automate that entire process for you.
That's awesome. Joey's saying, does AnywherePOD get listed as a provider in Etsy? So you guys aren't a print provider that way, or you're like now that
right,
you've got a few under, yeah.
So we still recommend to use the same provider settings in your Etsy store. So you'll want to set that to Printify or Custom Cat or Shine On. Whoever's actually shipping and fulfilling that particular product is who we generally recommend setting that setting to.
Good question. And then Linda says, can you add text layers just in APOD, or do you have to do it in Canva? And the answer, I think, is you can edit fully inside of AnywherePOD, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can almost even use this as, a little mini editor. If you're just wanting to do like some text-based designs or something, you can add any of that here. So like if I didn't have my image here, I can come in here and add text, put in, let's just say Merry Christmas. It can be personalized or static text, whatever I want to put in here. Set up my fonts, my colors. You can do drop shadows, outlines, curved text, any of that type of stuff. And you can set all that directly here in AnywherePOD as well.
Awesome. Some good questions here. So Vidushi's saying, does it allow multiple images for a specific color mockup for choices? Example be a gray crop tee with 3 mockup template options. And can I see and select from any of the 3?
Yes, absolutely. So you would set those 3. So it sounds like you're saying you have, say, crop top, a gray crop top, and you have 3 different kind of blank mockups that you want to be able to choose from. You would add all 3 of those as a mockup template and then be able to select all 3 or any of those that you want to add to your listing. All of those images are then also available to put into your videos that you generate in AnywherePOD as well. So since Etsy has that limit, of 10 images, sometimes you burn through those 10, you got an infographic or 2 in there, you've got other colors or other views that you still want to be able to show the customer. You can put those in the video and they don't have to be a part of that initial 10. And it's just another way to get some of those additional views in front of the customer as well.
Yeah, one thing you guys are going to get used to hearing when you ask these questions, and it kind of blew my mind the first time I had Anna and Chris on, was like asking the questions and their answer was almost always yes. So it's just a matter of learning how to do what it is you need to do. But can you add multiple mockups? Can you add other layers in addition to the layered artwork that you're importing? Yes, yes, and yes. And that's kind of what blew me away a little bit. Is like, I remember asking Chris, like, is there anything you actually say no to? Right. And, if we haven't crossed that bridge yet, I'm sure there's always a limit, but, we haven't gotten there yet. So while you guys are thinking of any other amazing questions, and these have all been really good ones, JQ with another one here, I do definitely want to touch on the deco plate option there. But JQ saying, is there a limit to how many mockups they can be made for each product, and can they be downloaded to be used for advertising like Instagram or Facebook? Interesting.
Yeah, there's no limit. I mean, we have some customers that on a product there may be by the time you get, because we do group listings as well. So if you have, one design or even multiple designs that you want to offer on one listing as a t-shirt and a sweatshirt and a V-neck, even just with Printify's kind of default mockups, your mockup list is already getting pretty large. So there's no limit there. And yes, you can download those. You just come in here and you can right click on this image and save it to your computer and then be able to use it on Facebook or Instagram or whatever you need to from there. That's
smart. A little, point to stick there is maybe you could introduce potentially something where you have social media templates in there natively, right? Using existing mockups. Really fast and easy to do.
Yeah.
Same principle. Add layers, maybe add an element or a box. And then if you can connect it to your respective, social media platform, and a simple push would be awesome.
Right. Dave, see, here's a good example. Do we ever, when you ask a question, is the answer ever not yes? And in this case, the answer is not yes, but it's not no either. It's not yet.
Yeah. What was that?
I like that idea, though. I like that idea.
Yeah, I said, be careful what you wish for, because Chris does magic. So,
well,
yeah, and I will give a little spoiler. I mean, you guys, this is really amazing as it is, but there really is a lot more to come, and we're really just scratching the surface of what is possible. And we love these types of ideas because like literally 2 weeks ago, I told Chris something. I was like, well, you can do this with this. I'm not giving anything away, but I was like, you can do this with this. And literally the next day he's like, I have an idea. Let's do this. And he's been working on it, and we've been like testing it in the background. So that's how AnywherePOD works. It's literally like these little pain moments that we have, or these like, hey, well, let's add social media to it. And then Chris does it, and I'm like, wait, did you just do it? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I stayed up late last night. But my team's working on it.
I won't give anything away either, but to piggyback on what Anna said about ideas that we have coming, I will say wait until July. It is going, we were planning some launches for July, and if all of them are pulled off, which I think we will, July is going to be a very awesome month and set you up incredibly well for Q4. So I'll just say stay tuned.
So since July is 12 days away, and it sounds like you have an array of new additions, is there maybe one at the top that you can kind of sneak peek or maybe mention in a way that isn't going to give too much away?
Chris, the pressure's on.
It is on, and the funny thing is I am horrible about keeping secrets. So there's probably some other people that have already heard me slip a few things on live streams in the past. So as long as everybody that's watching right now promises in another month to pretend like they're surprised, I will give a hint that'll probably give it away. It covers a 2-letter acronym that has been very, very popular in the world recently. We'll put it that way. And Anna's shaking her head because she knows I'm already giving away because I'm horrible about keeping secrets. So some pretty cool stuff is coming.
I know. He's always like, we got to keep it a secret. And then, then we just get excited.
Yeah.
Awesome. So. Yeah. Cryptic is right. Who shakes their Christmas presents? I know Jay does. Absolutely. I used to unwrap them and then rewrap them nice and pretty. There was a question here, and it was this one from Linda. Do you have mockups for decoplate platters, bowls, or Printify napkins? They don't have placemats, I guess. So what I'm hearing is that there aren't enough options for mockups for specific items. That's an interesting one.
I'm not sure what Printify has available on napkins specifically. It'd probably kind of depend on which napkin you're looking at. For decoplate, yes, we do have mockups that are available. And actually, let me take a look here. Since I know we wanted to talk about decoplate a little bit anyway, let me see if I can find this. There we go. Deco bundle. This is the one I wanted to look at here. So if I come into select mockups, this first one here is one that I uploaded, but these other ones here that you can see of the plate And there should be, this one doesn't have a platter design. If we look at their platters as well, let's go here. You can see we have platter mockups that are available for DecoPlate as well. So yes, we do have mockups that are available for those products. So for those that haven't heard of DecoPlate yet, this is the hidden gem in the POD world, in my opinion. They are an awesome product. One of the few print-on-demand products that you can say is 100% made and decorated in the USA. They make these themselves. They are super high quality. That's BPA free, meets all the certifications for food safety, is actually heat safe. So it's not like the cheaper melamine products that you get from the big box stores that you can't microwave because it's going to off gas formaldehyde in your house. These are heat safe and super awesome, edge to edge sublimation. This platter, the platter and plate are their two best sellers. This platter sells like crazy with personalization for barbecue platters or grandma's garden type of designs. Santa cookie plates do really well during the holidays. This product is amazing, has great profit margins. They sell for $15.50 with $10 shipping, and they sell on Etsy anywhere from $35 to $50 a piece. So your profit margins on them are really good. Competition's really low on Etsy too. So that's one of the areas, besides all the other stuff that we've talked about, one of the areas that we focus on at AnywherePOD is trying to find providers and products that aren't widely available from, some of the bigger Printifys and Printfuls of the world. So this is a product that is not widely available out there. The supplier doesn't have a direct integration with Etsy even. So your competition on Etsy is way lower. Plus all the high quality, great profit margins, all that type of stuff. It really is a fantastic product.
Yeah, and the margins are there. I mean, always it's up to us at the end of the day as POD sellers. People always complain about margins not being there on certain products. Well, raise your prices, right? That's on you. But at the end of the day, starting with an initial price point that these guys have that is not astronomical is actually a really nice thing to see that we don't see often enough. Phil is one of our members who has been using you guys for quite some time now. And he said he's been using APOD for some time before the mockup templates came in. It looks like the mockups come out as a square, 2000 by 2000 is pixels. Is that accurate?
So it's going to be based on, if you're using the supplier mockups, it's going to be based on whatever we're getting from the supplier. If you're using your own mockup templates, it's going to be based on what you're uploading your file sizes as. So if your blank template, so you're saying you'd prefer something like a 2700 by 2000, if you create your mockup template and upload your blanks at that same size, then that's what's going to get generated on any of your products. So really you kind of control what size those end up being.
Awesome. I want to hear another yes out of Chris. Did I hear this right? 20 listings in 10 minutes. Is that a complete listing, including majority of the important attributes that's not included within AnywherePOD?
Yes, you did hear that right. So we have a bulk uploader. So like the ornament we were doing, if we have that ornament and now we want to create another 20 variations of that ornament, we can upload all 20 of those at once. It's going to duplicate over our title, tags, descriptions, pricing, mockup selection, all of that, and create all 20 of those automatically for you and publish those over to Etsy in your draft listings. So that if you need to make any final adjustments there, that you can. But yeah, it's you can create a lot of listings really fast with that.
And the important thing too, it varies on the listing, right? And obviously people who've done this for a while, you're going to be able to speed through that because you're going to have your system set up. But basic listings, you might even be able to do faster than that. Some that are a little bit more complex where you have to, fill in the details a little bit more, that might take a little bit longer. Going back to our pre-Christmas, we got stuff that's even going to make it faster too with that bulk upload tool. So there's a lot happening that it really when you think about cutting down seconds when you're creating, quite a few listings at a time, it really, really adds up, and it makes it so much faster when you can cut out so many things. In fact, I mean, really our goal is that when you talk to sellers, that some of the things that we have done in the past isn't even like in our vocabulary anymore. Like when we think about telephones, most of our kids don't know what a landline telephone is. They wouldn't even, or remember caller ID, and it was like, oh, you know who's calling? Like that's such a big deal, right? But if we were to use that vocabulary with our kids, most of them would be like, I don't even know what you're talking about, right? So our goal is to even eliminate some of these things out of our vocabulary, where if you're a new seller, you wouldn't even know what we were talking about. Like, oh, do you remember when we had to,
Yeah. You don't still carry your pager?
Right?
Well, it's good. POD is evolving at a pace where people are going to say, like, back in 2023, in a year from now, right?
Yep.
It's literally moving that fast, and especially with like tools like you guys are building. And so I've always said this, like there's a lot of awesome tools out there, and the best ones are born out of a need to solve a problem for the end user, right? And they're usually done by or incurred by the people that, to Anna's point, she was telling people, and so was I, not to do not to do personalization at some point, because it was becoming way too cumbersome, right? And then you end up having maybe you get some help, and then you have all these people typing, copying and pasting names. Maybe there's a space where it shouldn't be and it's off center now, or maybe they're manually typing and things are getting typos. Then you have to go in and double check everything. And if you've ever had to refund like $5,000 in a month, you know what I'm talking about, right? Because one single solitary mistake. Those are the kinds of things that I think are going to be game changers moving forward. And it's pretty incredible to see. Remember a telex machine. If you have any last questions here, go ahead and drop them. Go ahead, Chris. What are you going to say?
Well, yeah, while they're dropping those in, one last thing I wanted to point out here. So this is a good example of it, and it works with any of our products, is you can actually create, we talked about group listings where you can have t-shirts and sweatshirts and all that on one listing. You can also do bundles in AnywherePOD. So for example, on this deco plate, I've got this place setting here. So they'll be able to select if they want the plate, the bowl, the mug, the placemat, or the silverware. So this is like a child's place setting. And you might be thinking, hey, wouldn't it be nice if they could get all 5 of those items in one click? And you can do that here with our bundles. So right there from the variant dropdown, they're going to see the choice of, do I want all these individual items, or do I want the entire place setting? And with one click, they're going to be purchasing all 5 of those products all in one go.
Phil says, I'm using, it's our last comment here. I'm using a draft Etsy listing that as a template that contains all of the proper attributes and linking the APOD design to a copy of that Etsy draft template listing. Super fast.
Cool. Yep.
That's great. And yeah, the bundling is huge, but also, like the 20 and 10 minutes kind of thing. If you're speaking of the group listings, if these are things that are not personalizable, so example, like most likely to St. Patty's Day, right? Let's call it. So most likely to dance on a table by the end of the night, most likely to forget their wallet at every bar we hit. If those things aren't getting personalized and those are your static 10 options, that's the kind of thing that you're going to be able to upload and publish, literally in minutes, right?
Exactly. Yep.
This was amazing, guys. Thank you so much. I want to respect your time. I know we're 10 minutes over, it looks like, but if you guys have any last questions here, let's get them in, because we're going to let these guys go in about another 2 minutes here. So one question here. To clarify, the order is placed on Etsy. It goes to APOD for personalization and then sent to Printify. It's automated.
Yep, you got it. So on an individual order, you have the choice of whether or not or an individual product, you have the choice of whether or not you want it to auto-fulfill or not. So if you're not doing a personalized product, most of the time you're going to leave that set to auto-fulfill, and actually the default setting is going to leave that to auto-fulfill. If you're doing personalization, you have the choice, depending on how complex your personalization is, on whether or not that auto-fulfills or not. If it does go on hold, it's really a 2-second click of a button to release the hold. And then, yeah, everything from there is 100% automated through to Printify or whatever supplier you're using.
Yeah, and even like the basic personalization, a lot of it, once you see it go through a few times, then I have let even those orders just go through automatically. Because if it's just a date or a simple name, there's really not much to check there. And so, once I just like had the confidence, like, oh yeah, this works, then it's easy to just let that go. It's really like ultra personalized listings that you might want that for. So it's nice. You're going to find that there's flexibility in almost every feature in one way or another. Nothing really locks you into anything permanently.
Right. Yep. And even if you're doing an ultra, we have a customer that during Father's Day was doing an ultra personalized listing, hundreds of sales a day. She sent me a message like, hey, I love using AnywherePOD now. How much time I got to spend with my family today. And I was able to come home, spend a couple hours on my orders, and everything's processed through. And I thought, a couple hours on orders. Oh man. I went in and looked at it, and it was just over a minute per order that she spent on her orders that day to be able to, and it was ultra personalized, multiple fields. So, it saves you tons of time, even when you get up to that kind of scaling level.
And I mean, just over a minute on ultra personalized stuff, like, it sounds like she already had her system dialed in, because to be able to do it in, just over a minute alone is a feat. Never mind now introducing, AnywherePOD that allows you to do it in seconds, right? Or automated anyway.
Right. Yep.
Super huge. Yeah. So we got lots of love going on in the chat here. Congrats to Jennifer for taking some action there. Having struggling with the code for the free trial to getting set up in less than 5 minutes and adding mockups. So
awesome. Good job.
A to Z there. A to Z pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the point of these calls, is to just slow it down and get it done.
Yeah, slow it down and get it done fast at the same time.
Yeah, right. Slow it down and get it done fast. There you go. Yeah,
there you go.
I like that. Yeah, and just to point out too, again, guys, this is something you can grow into. So if what we're talking about is very like overwhelming to you right now, you don't have to start with a group listing. You don't have to start with personalization. You don't have to start with any of it, because it's just going to be hard at the beginning. Everything is going to be new, but once you start doing the reps, it does get easier. And again, you can grow into the features that are here. So don't be overwhelmed by feeling like you have to do all of it all at one time, or I have to do bundles, or you don't have to do any of that. Don't worry about it. If you're not there yet, just keep that information in the back of your head so you have the knowledge to say, oh, eventually I can do that. That's great. I will grow into that, and know that you have this tool to be able to let you do it. But just start with where you can actually take action and get through those first steps. That's the most important thing, is just get through those first steps.
Yep, absolutely.
So, funny comment here. I didn't realize who this was until they said macros. This is a member of ours in our membership, Mark, who actually speaks to systems and automation too. This is a guy who is going to, all the clicks we do in your AnywherePOD, he's going to automate that with a bunch of macros. So he's going to be literally, he's the guy who hits a button, you sit back and you watch his screen do the things.
Right.
That's amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah. So this is going to, the only way you can speed up AnywherePOD is by building your own macros, I think, at this point, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, it was pretty incredible to watch. Like everyone, so is it a Photoshop action? Yeah, but I also created a macro for it. So he's not even hitting play on the action or opening Photoshop, right?
That's like brain voodoo. Like,
yeah, I agree. Thanks for doing this. Another couple of Inner Circle members here. Actually, a lot of them. So nice to see you guys show out. If anyone wants to chat about APOD, I'm happy to help if I can. He's often in the co-working call inside our membership. So if you don't know or you're new to the membership, inside my Inner Circle, I'll leave links down below for that as well. But we have co-working calls, which is really nice. It's like, that element of the solopreneurship that just gets really lonely at times, or talking to your life partner or whatever, or best friend. If they're not sick about hearing you go on about print on demand, they're probably, actually, that's not true. If they haven't told you they're sick about it, doesn't mean that they're not sick about it, because they're sick about it, right? They don't really understand, and B, if they took the time to understand, they're sick about it now. Like they're overhearing you go on and on about it. So just having like ultimately a colleague or, working at a cubicle or at a table beside you. Those kinds of things we miss from the 905, like the social elements, right? It's not, the structure, but we miss being able to bounce ideas off everybody. And those co-working calls are like such a beautiful space that so much information is shared. That alone is worth the price of admission. But then to be able to have guys and gals like Chris and Anna on here today is pretty special as well. So thank you all for joining. Any other further questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Make sure you use the coupon codes for the 30-day free trial. Test it out. Get your free personalization toolkit down there. A couple of, the ornament designs. All of it's there. Chris and Anna, I've seen Chris, in every YouTube video I've seen him down in the chats answering questions. Also go join their Facebook group, which I have yet to link to in the description, but I will. It's super helpful. I've just, I'm kind of lurking in there now, but anytime there's a question, it doesn't go unanswered very long in there. So thank you both so much for joining me today. It's been awesome. And you guys are both rock stars.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, it's been really fun getting to know you. And I have followed you forever. So I'm excited to be here. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, guys. Have a great day, folks.
Alrighty.
We'll see you on the inside.
Bye.